May I request Mr. David Faulkner, international property, he's going to speak on international property measurement standards. As you know, this is a very, very dear topic for all of us, keeping in mind that we have the RERA Act coming up. Thank you. Please join us. David.
Thank you very much, everybody. I know I've got to make it fairly quick, but I thought it was very interesting listening to the last panel talking about definitions of floor areas in India, because that's exactly what IPMS has been set up to sort out. So I would say for your legislation you're looking to put through Parliament, maybe you should be looking at IPMS rather than using carpet area or super built-up area, and then that puts you ahead of the game. I'm going to make a very short introduction to IPMS. I do have a PowerPoint, so if anybody wants to know more about it, I can send them a copy of that. But essentially, I'm here today representing the International Property Measurement Standards Coalition. And because we're in the real estate industry, of course, we have to abbreviate that to IPMSC. And we have a website, www.ipmsc.org, where you can get all the information that you need to know about property measurement standards. I was going to talk about why property measurement standards were so important, but I think the last panel has actually done that job for me. There is great inconsistency in the way that we measure properties, and it's very hard for people to make a comparison. And of course, everybody who owns or occupies property needs to know how big it is. Studies have looked at the various floor areas used. The most common one you'll see around the world is gross floor area, and we discovered that the gross floor area varies by 24% across the globe, even though we are supposedly measuring properties on the same basis. The other area where it's becoming important is that increasingly listed companies are being audited to IFRS. They're being valued to IVS. Clearly, they're going to need a clear definition of measurement standards to feed into their valuations. So that's another very important area where this is developing. Now, although Farouk mentioned the idea came from the RICS, I should stress it's not an RICS program. The sponsor of this is actually the World Bank. And the World Bank has said it wants to get as many professional organizations as possible behind this project. So apart from the big international ones like FIABCI, BOMA, RICS, FIG, etc., we want all the national and local associations involved. So all those gentlemen who came up on the stage earlier today, whether you're from the NAR or the Mumbai equivalent or the Chennai equivalent or whatever, we want you all to sign up to the IPMSC because it's something that affects your members in their daily work. We are, of course, looking for government support. So far, we only have one government that's actually signed up to IPMS, which is the UAE government. But again, listening to the previous panel, maybe the Indian government could be the second one to do that. But the IPMS coalition member organizations now is up to around 70 different bodies from across the globe, and it really is global. You've got North America, South America, Africa, Central Eastern Europe. Everybody's in there, so I would again encourage the Indian organizations to get involved. But of course, it isn't just a government thing, and it's not just something for organizations and associations. It's something that you can do, because we also have a partner program for commercial organizations. This can include developers, it can include corporate occupiers, it can include brokers, valuers. It doesn't matter how big or how small you are, you can sign up as a partner, and your only obligation basically is to promote the use of IPMS across the industry. Clearly, we are talking particularly to the occupiers and owners, because if they ask for it, the consultants and the brokers are going to have to follow. We have people like Vodafone signed up, Xerox, BASF, people like that. And if you now want to lease your property to Vodafone, you will have to quote IPMS. Okay, that's a requirement. And you're starting to see the big institutional funds like Deutsche Bank, Union Investments, they're going the same way. So if you're going to do business with these guys, you'll need to quote an IPMS area to them. It isn't necessarily going to replace your local measurement standards immediately. We might have a period when you have to quote both, but we certainly will have more people asking for IPMS. Now, looking at the practical aspects, IPMS is coming out in phases. The IPMS for office buildings was published earlier this year. So that's already out in the market, and if you go to the IPMSC website, you can download a copy. It's free of charge, and it's a very nice little booklet. It's only 26 pages. We have 3 IPMSs. We call them 1, 2, and 3. We decided not to try and adopt gross floor area, net floor area, anything like that, just because everybody seems to think it means something different. So there was no point trying to do that. But clearly, if you look at IPS 1, 2, and 3, it's broadly the gross external area, the internal area, and the net area. It's roughly aligned with those. And it's got drawings explaining how to measure to those standards with colors showing you which bits are in, which bits are out, how to deal with ancillary areas. So it's a very user-friendly standard, and as I say, you can download it from the website free of charge. The second one to come out is going to be residential, and I think it's very important that I mention residential here because this is going through a consultation period and we are looking for input from as many people as possible. So if you've got a view on how your residential properties should be measured and who doesn't, please, again, go onto the website, ipmsc.org, have a look at it, and give your comments. We are structured around a standards-setting committee, which actually writes the standards, and I know there is one person from India on that committee, so we are getting the Indian point of view. But we'd like to hear from you. You're the guys who've got to implement these things and use them, so we'd love to hear your comments. The deadline for that is the 30th of September. This year. Following residential, we will then be doing industrial, and then we will go on to retail. So there'll be a whole suite of property measurement standards. Hopefully the others will all be completed by the end of next year. So really, I've tried to rush through this very quickly in the interest of not keeping you away from your lunch, but I hope this gives you a good overview. I would also say that although I know the main audience here is from India, we do have some other organizations from around the world in the room. Some of those are already members of the coalition. Some of you may not be. We would urge you to join, and clearly if you'd like us to talk to your members about IPMS and explain it in more detail, we would be very happy to do that for you. So I hope that meets the requirement of keeping it short and sweet. But if anybody's got any questions, I'm here for the duration of the conference and will be very happy to talk to anybody in more detail about it. So thank you.
David, thank you very much. I'm going to request our Advisory Council member, Mr. Kishan Milani, to please come up and give a token of appreciation to David. Please give them a big hand.